Hello, all. Welcome to the last part. Today, Marija Randjelovic is HR professional from Amazon. Is going to talk to us about building an organizational culture that brings amazing results. As we all know, Amazon has established itself as one of the greatest companies ever. So let's hear from Marija what she learned there. Welcome here, Marija. Also, I just want to add one last thing. At the end, we'll have a short questions and answer space. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who was listening today, because this is the last session at the end. But welcome, Marija. Come.
Thank you. I feel really honored to be part of this week today, and thank you everyone for joining to hear my presentation.
Okay.
I would love to start. So I would love to talk to you today a little bit about the culture that we have created here at Amazon, and the reason why I said that this is the culture that produces exceptional results is simple that from the simple reason that around 20 years ago, when this company was founded, it was just a bookstore. And today it's one of the four biggest tech giants in the world. And one of the reasons for that success is definitely big emphasis on maintaining the working culture throughout that has created that initial success for decades afterwards. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about that and introduce you to basically how it is to work at Amazon and what specifically what specifics and a little bit more going into detail about our culture. So just to put things into perspective, currently Amazon has 1 million employees. That is 1 million employees all over the world. So that being said, that is almost like the whole south of Serbia. But these 1 million employees that we have today in 2020 are actually spread all over the world. So we have 110 fulfillment centers in the United States and 185 globally. And this data goes back to beginning of 2020. This was actually what we had in January. And then throughout the year, we had a plan to open around 33 another fulfillment center around the world. And I don't want to give you false information. I'm not sure exactly how many of those 33 have been finished and how many will still open until the end of the year. But the total number of the centers is around 300. So if we say that Amazon it is like your company having 300 offices that operate everywhere around the world. That means you have people and employees that come from different backgrounds, different languages, different cultures. They have come from different religion, race, gender. So all these differences, and yet we are kind of operating in the same way, and we are operating as one. So I do want to say the challenge, one of the biggest challenges that companies do face when they're scaling so large like we have, is basically maintaining culture and working in a way as being united and working on the same goals in the same way. So how have we achieved that? I want to talk a little bit about velocity and speed. So we are a company that really moves fast. We move fast, we operate 24 hours a day, but it's not only about speed. So what we have created as leadership principles, and they were created in 1997, and I will tell you a little bit more about history of those principles. But when they were created, they helped us move in the right direction, not only move, but move in the right direction. So that means that we achieve that highest velocity when each individual is delivering the right thing as quickly as possible. Not only speed, but just moving around, but also moving into the same direction. And that is exactly what these leadership principles, when we implemented them, when we went public in 1997, has helped us achieve. So now I would like to talk a little bit more about what they are. So Amazon leadership principles are a set of standards that all Amazonians aspire to every day. They are ingrained in our culture, and our employees do love them because they clearly explain the kinds of behaviors that we value. As an Amazon employee, you'll rarely have a day that goes without hearing about leadership principles that are either referenced or as a shorthand of are you doing the right thing? If you're doing the right thing, that means you're following these principles. So they're very universal approach to how we work here. So that is, in a way, a definition of leadership principles, but I would love to tell you a little bit more in detail. In order for us to retain our agility and our ability to innovate rapidly, decisions must be made at the lowest level possible. So we want to create leaders not only at a managerial level, but we want everyone, each employee, to be a leader. Because as growth removes ability to have line of sight at every decision we make, which basically, when scaling, when you have 1 million employees, you cannot have control over what everyone are doing in a way. So that's why we have to ensure that leaders at all levels are equipped with the right set of tools that we know that they will make sound decisions. So Amazon leadership principles are that critical tool that we have that we use to evaluate, we use to refine, and to challenge our thinking. And when we do apply the leadership principles, then we find that our decisions are stronger, and that our teams, when they embody those principles, we have a higher degree of confidence in the decisions that they make. So basically, how do 1 million employees operate like one? By creating a culture that everyone will follow. And why are those principles actually, why were they chosen outside of anything and not anything else? So what I'm now going to introduce you to and talk about is a little bit about a history, how they were created, and then I would like to dive deep into each principle and explain how they're interconnected. So basically, I'm hoping that I will answer the question how to systematically and intentionally build a culture that brings results. In the year of 1997, so 1997 was the year when Jeff Bezos, when our company went public, but when he started Amazon, he started with 6 core values. And 6 core values came along with a mission, and the mission was to be Earth's most customer-centric company. Even in this in this mission, I mean, this mission itself already speaks about our customer obsession, to be Earth's most customer-centric company. Pardon me, sometimes my tongue gets stuck on certain English words and phrases. So anyway, let me continue. In 1997, the foundation that was set for our company culture and these 6 core values are: we will focus relentlessly on our customers, which today is what we call a customer obsession leadership principle. Then we have, it's all about the long term, which today translates to ownership. Then we have, we spend wisely and we maintain our lean culture, which today translates into frugality. Focus on hiring and retaining versatile and talented employees, which today speaks about high hiring bar. Then make bold rather than timid investment decisions and maintain focus on improving the shopping experience. which today is innovation. And we must remain vigilant and maintain a sense of urgency, which today we call bias for action. So what you see here is that these 6 core values are still till today part of our culture. So from the year 1997, when our company became public, then later in 2001, when we really exponentially grew in size and our teams became a lot more diverse, then Jeff partnered with the team and they defined a set of leadership principles that were inclusive to all employees in the company. So they were answering the question, what does Amazon value most in leadership? And from there, 10 leadership principles were created. So what is really important to highlight here is that we grew in size and we grew in diversity. That means that when your companies grow and you have opportunity to hire people that are from, as I said, different backgrounds, maybe different culture, or let's say if we take Serbia and as an example, we will hire, you can hire people who are from different gender, maybe different religion, maybe they come from different countries within the region, or any really different background and different point of view brings to your company advantage over others, because if you are able to leverage those differences and that your team brings, then you will have you will be able to hopefully dominate markets today. And more different people, they bring different ideas. And this is what we basically achieved there, that with that diversity, with having people with very different leadership styles, we kind of filter out all of that and create something that can apply to everyone. So in 2010, 10 years ago, those then final 14 principles were defined. And now I will just go into each and one of them just to, hopefully to help you really understand better what those principles are. 2 most important principles are customer obsession and ownership. As our mission was to be Earth's most customer-centric company, from that it derived that customer obsession. And leaders start with a customer and they work backwards. They work vigorously to earn and keep customers' trust. Although leaders pay attention to competitors, we do obsess over our customers. And so today, I would like to tell you an anecdote about an empty chair. So in every meeting, Amazon leaders have an empty chair, and that chair represents a customer. We want customers to be there. We want to hear their voice, and we want always to put them first. So that's why we have an empty chair in every meeting, and we think with customer when we make every decision. And ownership is something that can be described as leaders are owners and they think long-term, and they don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. They act on behalf of the entire company, not and beyond their own team. They never say, that's not my job. I love this principle because how many times have you heard that someone says, that's not my job? Here, if you see something broken, you fix it. Don't tell someone else to fix it, just you do it. Because owners at Amazon, they should drive change and not just point out what is broken, this needs to be changed. No, you're the driver of the change, and you can solve many things that are outside of your purview only if you cared enough. So customer obsession and ownership are in the core of our culture, because in every other principles, in everything you do, you can actually see a little bit of ownership and a little bit of customer obsession. So the next one is next 2, invent and simplify. And leaders are right a lot. Invent and simplify, it says leaders expect and require innovation and invention from their teams and always find ways to simplify. They're extremely aware. They look for new ideas from everywhere. And they're not limited to not invented here. As we do new things, we accept that we may be misunderstood for a long periods of time. So from being a bookstore to being one of the big tech giants to having so many products, technical products, television, online, like Amazon online services, having a grocery being delivered to your door, like so many different products have been created because of this invent and simplify, because of innovation of our people. And learning through each of these principles, you will see how really that reflected on our culture and who we are today. If leaders are right a lot, that means that they have strong judgment and good instincts. They seek diverse perspectives and they work to disconfirm their beliefs. So this really doesn't only refer to leaders. It's everyone is leader at Amazon. So even the people who are individual contributors, they're considered leaders, and they are also right a lot, and they're expected to seek to disconfirm their beliefs and not seek for followers or confirmation. And that is something that really makes leaders exceptional, because in order to be right a lot, it comes from experience, and it comes from having good judgment, and good instincts come from knowledge and experience. And the only way to learn is to constantly search for information to disconfirm your belief. The next two will be learn and be curious, and hire and develop the best. Curiosity and learning is what drives improvement, and leaders are curious about new possibilities, and they act to explore those possibilities. Obviously, from curiosity and learning comes innovation. And hire and develop the best. We say leaders raise the performance bar with every hire and every promotion. And that is really taken literally, because what we do have in our interviews as one person that's solely job is to evaluate whether this new hire will raise the performance bar of the team. So we recognize exceptional talent, and we willingly move them through the organization. We also like to answer questions, not only if this person could do this job well, but as what kind of projection and how can this person have throughout their career at Amazon. And leaders develop leaders, and they take seriously their role in coaching others. And I would like to continue with the other two. Insist on the highest standards and think big. Leaders have relentlessly high standards. Many people may think that these standards are sometimes unreasonably high, and leaders are continually raising the bar, and they drive their teams to deliver high quality products and services and processes. So leaders ensure that all the defects do not get sent down the line, and that problems are fixed, so they stay fixed. Here you can clearly see how customer obsession is ingrained into insisting on higher standards. And also ownership, because you have to fix the problem so that it stays fixed, also includes a level of ownership. So this is one of perfect examples of how each and one and every principles are connected to one another or derive from one another. Thinking big is one of the interesting principles, because we believe that thinking small is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So have big ideas, come with something that no one ever imagined before. And you know what, today so many of those ideas did come true. So leaders do create and they communicate bold direction, and that inspires results, and they think differently and look around corners for ways to serve our customers. Bias for action. Speed matters in business, as I mentioned earlier, speed and velocity. So many decisions and actions are reversible, and they do not need to be really extensively studied. So we do value speed, but with a calculated risk-taking. And frugality is something that I would say it's very typical with Amazon, and that's something that makes us peculiar because we believe that we can accomplish more with less, and constraints breed resourcefulness and self-sufficiency and invention. So there are no extra points here for growing headcount or a budget. And there's an anecdote that can really describe this. Is when Jeff Bezos and other founders just started a company, they really didn't have a lot of funds, and they were lacking a working desk. So someone came up to the idea, hey, why don't we just take the door out and create a desk out of the door? So the doors were taken out, and then just 4 legs were attached to the door, and the door desk has came to life. And today in my office, for example, we have door desks, and we still have them all over the Amazon. It's something that can very simply be created. And also it reminds us that we need to stay humble. It reminds us of humble beginnings and how we can accomplish a lot with not that much to begin with. So let's just continue, because we are a little bit running out of time. I want to cover earn trust and dive deep. Earn trust is one of my favorite principles. And it says that leaders listen attentively, they speak candidly, and they treat others really with respect. They are vocally self-critical. Like vocal self-criticism is not something that I have often seen in my past. And I believe it is very crucial to be self-aware, and that to raise that self-awareness into the level that you can even speak about it in front of your team. And even when doing so is awkward or embarrassing. So leaders do not believe that we say that their body smells like perfume. So they benchmark themselves and their teams against the best. And diving deep is, we operate at all levels as leaders, and we stay connected to the details. We audit frequently. We really rely on data, and we make sure that our decisions are based on research. And when there is any discrepancy between metrics and an anecdote, that's what we need to do to dive deeper, to really understand what is happening behind. And because of that curiosity, that deep dive is what really helps us learn and innovate. And the last 2 principles are: have a backbone, disagree, and commit. So that is also one of my favorite principles, because leaders are obliged to respectfully challenge decisions when they disagree, even when doing so is uncomfortable or exhausting. Leaders have convictions, and they're tenacious. They do not compromise for the sake of social cohesion. So once a decision is determined, however, they have to wholly commit. So we are expected to challenge our leaders if we disagree. It's okay to give upward feedback, and we deliver results. Leaders focus on the key inputs for the business and deliver them with the right quality and timely fashion, despite setbacks. So how are all these principles really, what they're doing is enhancing ideation. When you empower your team to make independent decisions, then you create leaders of all levels. And that is basically what we are trying and what we are succeeding in doing with having these leadership principles. And when you empower ownership and decision-making in every person, then you really create space for innovation and ideation. And in order to retain that agility and ability to innovate rapidly, decisions have to be made even at the lowest level possible. So as growth removes our ability I already said, to have sight of every decision we made. That's why we have to ensure that leaders at all levels are equipped with the right knowledge and tools. And that is what's really being achieved through these principles. And some of them may look to you like they're opposites, but they're kind of completing each other. For example, having backbone with disagreeing, and on the other hand, earning trust of others. So by earning trust of others, how can you do both? How can you be disagreeable, don't be agreeable, but still earn trust? By being honest, but by honest and committing to what you promise to others, by being vulnerable, even if it makes being self-critical. So these are, every one of these principles on the left side kind of can, but they do not. They complement the ones on the right side, although it seems like they're opposite to one another. So now there have been a lot of research that's been done around these principles, and some of them are ingrained, meaning they are people are basically born with it. So that is something that's important to know when you're hiring, because when you're hiring, we also use leadership principles to evaluate candidates. So as some of them are ingrained, that means that these behaviors are really dependent on that internal wiring and character, and they can really hardly be taught, such as one of those principles is, being vocally self-critical. How can you teach someone to do that, or to earn trust of others? And some of them are adopted. Leadership principles that are adopted are frugality, customer obsession, or diving deep. So they can be taught, and all of them are practiced. And practice behaviors are finely owned skills that they must be developed over time. So they are developed over time, but also with a real effort and with a real intent. So we would create training and development focus that focuses on developing these principles. And one of those principles that is practiced is, for example, diving deep. So when we use them, we use them when we make any decisions that we make, when we do making hiring decisions, promoting decisions, or when we're developing skills such as soft skills. And so my final slide and key takeaways, hopefully that you are managed to get from my presentation, is that how to create that culture that produces results by enabling everyone to be independent decision makers, by creating behavioral principles and guidelines, by being inclusive of everyone in your company, by leveraging those diversities and differences that your team brings, by referencing principles that you have created very often, so they get embedded into every one of your team's minds, and so that they can constantly be on top of their mind when they're making decisions, and to create training materials and teach employees how to apply them in action. And that was all from me today. So thank you.
Thank you.